Times everything seemed like we were really going to move along, and then you have your cue. And then again, you're going and thinking, oh, I'm watching the clock as it says 1 hour, 20 minutes. And then it went 1 hour, 40 minutes. Then it was 1 hour, 50 minutes. And then it went back down to 1 hour, 30 minutes. Just like this material world, it's just up and down and up and down. But he did a very good job in getting us here. And you can thank him for making this arrangement for me to come here. It was just the other day, he said, how about a program in the evening? And he said, it's about a 1 hour drive. So he baited me. Anyway, I'm very happy to be here, and thank you for a very undeserved and warm introduction. And I would imagine it was your desire alone wanted me to come here, and so here I am, and just come to Crowley. Is that how you say it? Crowley? Crawley. And some of you may know I did live in Bushy. That's right next to Bhaktivedanta Manor for 7 years, from 2003 to 2010. But I actually didn't travel around in England very much. I went to different temples in Europe. I went to Vrindavan in Italy. I went to Germany. I went to France. But somehow or other, I didn't go to temples in England. So we're here now until the 12th, July 12th, and I'll be based at the Manor until the 9th. We do some programs at the Manor and some programs on Soho Street. And then on the 9th, we go upwards, based out of Leicester for 3 days. And then head to Hungary. I think part of what happened, as he said, I traveled with Srila Prabhupada for a long time, almost 2.5 years. And this trip my wife and I are on, we're based in India now, in Vrindavan, for the last 5 years. And we serve Srila Prabhupada's deities, Krishna Balaram, of course, the Ishtadev there, Krishna Balaram, and Radhashama Sundar, and Sri Sri Gauranitai. And Vrindavan, very special place. Not an easy place. Just like Krishna consciousness. Prabhupada said, easy for the simple, difficult for the crooked. He said that. Of course, he said many things. While I was with him, I heard many other things as well. One time on a morning walk, this was in Perth, Australia, where we were there just last month, 50th anniversary of Prabhupada going to Perth, Australia. And then 50th anniversary of him installing the deities in Melbourne, Australia. Sri Sri Gauranitai, and the opening of the temple there. So they invited me there to attend the 50th anniversary. And from that, we just built this whole trip, which is literally 80 days. And I've never done anything like this since being with Srila Prabhupada when I was just 22, 23 years old. And now I'm getting a little taste. And when I traveled with Prabhupada at the time, he was in his mid-70s. So I think he wanted me to see what it was like. Prabhupada didn't travel. He traveled around the world in 2 months in 1975, 60 days. But he traveled around the world constantly for 10 years so that all of us could be here. That was his duty, it was his pleasure. But it wasn't easy. Krishna consciousness, it's joyful, but it's serious business. As the Prabhupada said, it's easy for the simple, difficult for the crooked. But on one morning walk, there in Perth, Australia, 50 years ago, Prabhupada's walking, had his cane. His cane was just like part of his paraphernalia. I never really saw him use the cane. He was just giving it some benefit, his cane had. And he'd walk and he stopped. He looked at us, just 5 of us on the morning walk. Paramahamsa Swami, Amoga, my godbrother Amoga, was there in Australia at that time. And Prabhupada looked at us, he said, so, the devotee, he's simple or crooked? I had been with Prabhupada a long time, but from the very beginning when he asked a question, I always had the feeling his questions were tricky. Especially if he asked such a simple question. Sometimes he would ask simple questions. And we would wonder, why is he asking that question? I always wondered, and I never wanted to answer his questions, because you never want to be wrong. So, what's the answer? Devotees, simple or crooked? Any volunteers? What would you say? Simple. That's what Amoka said. Simple. And I saw that classic. Prabhupada would make that. He said, no, he's crooked. He said, just like I've tricked all of you into becoming Krishna conscious. What do we hear when you come to Krishna consciousness? Just chant Hare Krishna. No hard and fast rules. That's the crooked part. No hard and fast rules. Until you take initiation. So many rules. So many rules. It's a trick, but it's a very good trick. To have us come. And it is no hard and fast rules. But then again, there's hard and fast rules when you come. We learned with Prabhupada. I was saying we just came from New Mayapur. We were there for 5 days. I gave 9 classes in 5 days. In the course of 9 classes, you can give a little bit of information about what it's like to be with Srila Prabhupada, things that he says, things that he does. In 1 hour, you can't even scratch the surface to try to describe how wonderful Srila Prabhupada is, how amazing he is, how in just a few words he can help you understand Krishna, what it means to be Krishna conscious. I even asked my wife tonight, what can I say? Because now, everywhere I've gone, I give multiple classes. But here, many places, I have one time to try to somehow or other have you understand a little bit of what I understood in my foolish ability to understand a pure devotee. And she said, and something in this trip and before, more and more people are asking me, how did you stay with Prabhupada so long? No one stayed with Prabhupada, sometimes 1-2 months. To be with the pure devotee, not an easy thing. And it's not to my credit that I was there. As he said, people introduced me the longest standing servant. Like it's an achievement in war. And it is, because it's a war against Maya. And the more you do to become Krishna conscious, the more she attacks you. That's her service. She's an expert in her service. Very expert at that service. So to be with the pure devotee, 24 hours a day. One thing to go to a class every day, 1 hour, 2 hours. As Prabhupada travels around the world, people would sit at class. Then after class, you go about your business. You have your breakfast. And back in those days, maybe you read a newspaper, read a magazine, turn on the television. You had your own time, part time. but not when you were his personal servant. I was in his room, next to his room, 24 hours a day. Just now we went back to the manor. I haven't been there for 15 years, Bhaktivedanta Manor. 15 years was the last time I was there. And when we arrived at the manor, I got a little choked up. I was with Prabhupada 73 when he was there for over a month, almost 2 months. That was the longest he ever stayed at Bhaktivedanta Manor. So I have a lot of memories, seeing different places. We took a quick tour, Prabhupada's room, the closet where I cooked right next to his room, tiny little closet. I could never be far away. That was my service. I had to be able to hear a bell ring. I guess all of you have been seeing Prabhupada's room, Bhaktivedanta Manor, about everywhere. So imagine, his room is big. I have to hear a bell from outside somewhere the door. So I was never more than just a few meters away in order to hear a little handbell. It wasn't a text. It wasn't a phone call. It was a bell that he rang by hand. I was with him once for about a year. And we were in New Dwarka. Same situation, very nice quarters in New Dwarka. Not as elaborate as Bhaktivedanta Manor, but very nice quarters. When I became a servant, I was given 3 instructions. I always say there was no manual, no courses, no classes. Right? Went to Janardhan Swami GBC courses. Now we have GBC courses. We have Diksha courses, how to become a disciple. We have initiating guru courses, how to become we have courses for everything. How to chant japa, japa retreats, part 1, part 2, part 3. So many courses. Because all we had was Bhagavatam class, and then you go out into the streets and chant Hare Krishna all day. That was our course. But when I became his servant, secretary told me, your service is, Prabhupada rings the bell, you go in the room. No one else goes in the room. He tells you what he wants. He said, when Prabhupada sits in the car, you sit beside him. When Prabhupada sits in the airplane, you sit beside him. When Prabhupada's on the morning walk, you record everything he says. Turn the record. Every time he talks, you turn the recorder on. You turn it back off because we didn't have cassette tapes even back then, just reel-to-reel tape recorder on my shoulder. But that's all I knew. And I was a servant. I assumed many things. What's the word? I had an intuition. I was never told anything else. Devotees would ask me, when you cook for Prabhupada, because I cooked in his cooker. He showed me how to use his cooker 3 days in a row. And they say, so when you cooked for him, did you offer it? I say, yes. I cooked it, put it on the plate, went into his room and offered it to him. Who else are you going to offer it to? I can't offer it to Krishna. But he was right there. You don't have to go down on your hands and knees and say prayer. He was there to take it. Before I became his servant, Prabhupada was on the train from Vrindavan. He picked up the train in Mathura, was going somewhere, and Prabhupada knew one place to stop. Every time they stopped, the train would stop 5-10 minutes, right? People get on, people get off. Sometimes 3 minutes, sometimes 15 minutes. Still the same. So to one stop, Prabhupada told his secretary, you go to this person. He has kachuris, cooked in ghee. He said, they're okay. In Vrindavan, everything is prasadam, Prabhupada said. Everything's prasadam. Bhakti Juice Swami one time, when he was with Prabhupada, he apologized to Prabhupada. He said, I stop at the sweet shops and buy the sweets. He was saying to Prabhupada, he felt bad, he was buying the sweet. Prabhupada said, Vrindavan, everything's prasadam. So the secretary went out, he got some kachuris, he comes back into the train, puts them on the little table, cleans the table, puts the bag, newspaper bag with kachuris in it, puts it on the table, the kachuris outside the bag, and then he gets down on his hands and knees. Prabhupada said, "What are you doing?" He said, "I'm offering it, Srila Prabhupada." He said, "I'm right here." Imagine, he was right here with us. This person we offer to, everything we do, first person we offer to, Srila Prabhupada. Everything goes to him. And he offers it to his spiritual master. Prabhupada explained in that way. It goes all the way up to Krishna. That's the process. But I'm right here. So my business as servant was to be in the room waiting for the bell to ring 24 hours a day. I'm 21 years old. I've been in the temple for 16 months when I became his servant. So after 8 months or so, we're in New Dwarka. And Prabhupada stayed there a lot, a month or more at a time. So I did get to know devotees. They are living there. And they kept asking me, "Come to Mangalarti," because I never went to Mangalarti. I was sitting in my room. That's all I did. Sometimes chant, sometimes just stare at the walls. So they kept saying, "Come." I said, "I can't." I said, "I'm Prabhupada's servant. I have to be there if he calls me." He said, "Does he ever call you 4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning?" I said, "No." I said, "But he could. So come one day, just come." Parikshit leading Kirtan, Agni Dev leading, all these big devotees, still hear their names, leading Kirtan, Vardaraj Prabhu leading, Rukmini Dwarkadish are there, Jagannath. So I said, okay. So the next morning I go to Mangalarti in the temple room in New Dwarka. There were 10 minutes of Mangalarti. From behind, Prajumna taps me on the shoulder. I turned around and said, "Prabhupada wants to see you and he's really mad." This was our mantra amongst ourselves. We had Hare Krishna mantra and Prabhupada wants to see you mantra. And when you heard that mantra, it didn't put you into ecstasy. It's not the mantra you wanted to hear. Because whenever they said Prabhupada wants to see you, it means you're going to get chastised. I thought, oh no. I knew I was in trouble. Of course, I ran out of the temple, ran up the stairs, offering obeisances. "Where were you? I've been ringing this bell for hours." Maybe 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 4 minutes. Lord Brahma's time. Hours. 1 minute for Prabhupada. If he had to wait 1 minute, he was waiting a year. That's how he looked at it. And I sat up, I said, "Prabhupada, I went to Mangalarti." He said, "You have no business going to Mangalarti." He said, "What if I need something?" He said, "You have to be in your room 24 hours a day." I knew that. And then one day I didn't do it. He knew that. He knew everything. Could read your mind like anything. We were in New Vrindavan. That's where I became a servant. New Vrindavan, Janmashtami time, 1972. That time I was cooking in the kitchen. I didn't get to go Govardhan Hill, hear his classes, his Bhagavad Dharma classes on Govardhan Hill. And I saw one godbrother there. He joined during that time. Prabhupada gave initiation. The day before, the very first day of that festival, they had a stage for Prabhupada to speak from. And this devotee, he was down on the lawn, right in front of the stage, And he sees Prabhupada walk up on the stage. And there was no Vyasa-san, there was no seat, nothing. And he immediately thought, I have to do something. He was ready to run up onto the stage. He said, I figured I'd just go up on the stage, get down on my hands and knees, and Prabhupada could sit on my back like a chair. It was a good idea. Imagine the mercy, Prabhupada sitting on you as a chair. And right when that happened, then two devotees, they were bringing up Prabhupada's Vyasa-san. They put it there, Prabhupada sat on the Vyasa-san. The next day, Prabhupada did fire jug. He gave initiation, first initiation, Brahman initiation. So the boy went up. Prabhupada handed him his beads. He said, your name is Vyasa-san Das. Prabhupada knew exactly what he was thinking. That's how he knew how to encourage us all, what exactly to do. Vyasa-san Das, he called him, Vyasa-san. He wanted to be Prabhupada's Vyasa-san. Prabhupada named him in that way. So Prabhupada said, simple or crooked? The devotee says, simple, Prabhupada. He shook his head. When I first met him in the garden in Los Angeles, I wasn't his servant then. It was when I went there to get Brahman initiation, me and my godbrother from New Vrindavan. We drove across country, 5,000 kilometers across country we drove in a van, 4 days, 5 days driving, just to see Srila Prabhupada. And I got to go into the garden every afternoon. And you just sit there, wait for Prabhupada to say something. They gave me the Krishna book to read. When Prabhupada says you read Krishna book, and he wouldn't do it right away necessarily. He was sitting there looking. We're all young. We've been in the temple sometimes 2 months, 6 months. 1 year was a long time if you were in the temple. And he looked at us, all his young boys, just 5 or 6 of us. And it was the first time I heard Prabhupada ask a question. He said, what color is Krishna? I'm thinking, that's a funny question. You know, Prabhupada's asking, what color Krishna is? And I didn't raise my hand. I already assumed, I had this intuition, whatever I say, I'm wrong. That's his job, make you wrong, make you humble. So finally one young brahmachari raises his hand. He said, it's described in Krishna book, darkish, blackish, like the monsoon rain cloud. That's the first time I saw Prabhupada do that. He said he's blue like the sky. Then he said the sky is blue because it's reflecting Krishna's bodily effulgence. How easy is it to see Krishna? See, that's what he did. He made it so easy to understand Krishna, to see Krishna. When I was a servant right there in New York, I would pick the night shade, what's it called? Night queen, jasmine. You know, night jasmine. Sun goes down, ooh, most fragrant smell. And he would have me pick the little branch of the jasmine. When I massaged him in the evening, he would just lie down, his head to the side, and you just smell it during the massage. So the one evening I'm massaging, and he looked at me, he said, this is Krishna. This is Krishna. In Gita, what does Krishna? I'm the taste of water. Everything, all your senses, you can experience Krishna. You can see him in the sky. You can smell him with your nose. You can taste him with your tongue. You can hear him with his name. All the senses, you you can experience, you can see Krishna, you can hear Krishna, you can feel Krishna, you can taste Krishna. And he makes it just like that. Doesn't take years and years to understand how to know Krishna. Immediately, just a few words, he makes you know Krishna. And in the same way, in a few words, he can make you understand Maya. I traveled, sit next to him on the airplane, right? Every flight, he sat by the window, always sat in the window seat. And I was right next to him, whether it was the middle seat or the aisle seat, 2 seats or 3 seats, I just sit next to him. And this was 1972, Air India, flying from Delhi to somewhere, I don't know, somewhere. And we're always in coach. Prabhupada didn't travel first class. He said, waste of money. We don't drink their alcohol. We don't eat their food. And he didn't need lots and lots of room. He wasn't concerned about lying down in a bed or anything. So he traveled economy. So everyone's boarding the plane. Back in those days, I don't know what they do now. But as everyone's boarding, there was music playing. Tabla and sitar playing. Nice instrumental, Indian instrumental music playing. Prabhupada looked at me. He said, do you like this music? I always thought it was a test when he answered. I always hesitated. I'm thinking, well, there's no Hare Krishna coming out of this. And before I could answer, he saw my hesitation and he said, it's very nice. Yes, Prabhupada. And I would agree with her. I told that story some years ago. My godbrothers was there. Hari Kesh, he was Prabhupada's servant for some months back in 1975. He was sitting right next to me. He said, Prabhupada asked me the same thing. He said, same way, Air India, same music playing. He said, Prabhupada looked at me, he said, do you like this music? I said, yes, Prabhupada, it's very nice. He said, it's sense gratification music. Whatever you say, you're wrong. You can't be right. He wants to keep you humble. He wants you to be humble. And he can make anything go any way, this way, that way. Mother Visa told the story on the airplane, the flight. Imagine, 2 hours. Prabhupada told him, you be Mayavadi philosopher, I'll be Vaishnava. Mother Visa presented all his Mayavadi arguments, Prabhupada defeated all of them. He said, okay, now you be the Vaishnava, I'll be Mayavadi philosopher. Prabhupada defeated all his Vaishnava arguments. Always right. Pure devotee, spiritual man. He's always right. The one morning walk, towards San Francisco, Berkeley area. Remember, there are lots of hills. And we're in this park. Nice botanical garden. Prabhupada walked in parks or by the beach. Except for Bhaktivedanta Manor, he just walked out the door and walked in the fields. And whatever, if they were on rice paddies, wheat fields, but he would just walk there. Simple. He liked nature. You see all the photographs of Bhaktivedanta Manor. You don't see photographs of him sitting in his room. You see photographs of him sitting on the lawn, out in front, sitting in the garden area. He liked nature, Krishna's nature, where you could see Krishna, where you could feel Krishna, hear Krishna, in the birds. So on that morning walk, garden, there was this, you could see the skyline of San Francisco, skyscrapers. What did Prabhupada call them? Skyscrapers. You know what scrap is? Trash, rubbish. Call them skyscrapers. What did he call democracy? Demon crazy. True, right? Crazy. More than ever, we see how crazy these so-called democracy is. So we're walking and he sees the skyline. We all see the skyline. It looks very pretty. We were just in New York City. At nighttime, you see all the skyscrapers. Looks so pretty at night, all the lights everywhere. And then as we're walking, we stopped. There was this gate, nice metal gate. And over the gate it said, it was a playground. It said, Children's Fantasy Land. Prabhupada never missed an opportunity to give instructions. He stopped, he had his cane, he said, Children's Fantasy Land. And then he pointed to the city skyline, said, Adult Fantasy Land. Big fantasy. We were in New York, went there for Rath Yatra. Somebody let us stay in their flat, 14th floor. And we had one realization, why everybody's so crazy. No one ever touches the ground. They're always up in the air. In India, what's the first thing you do? You get up, old style, you walk in the grass. You take your shoes off and you walk in the grass, especially if there's dew in the grass. Very good to touch the earth. People are so messed up. Everywhere we went, we couldn't tell where people were men or they're women or in between. No one knows what they are anymore. They're not in touch with themselves. They're not in touch with the ground. That's why Prabhupada wanted farms. Live simply. That's what it means. Work so hard just to have a little, Prabhupada called them pigeonholes. Their houses in the clouds, pigeonholes. Chant Hare Krishna. That's all. Keep a cow, that's what he said. A cow, acre of land, everything taken care of. But we want to enjoy so much this material world. Here in the M25s, people stuck in traffic for hours. Is anyone enjoying that? Oh, but you buy 60,000 pound vehicle and you think, oh, I'm happy. Next to us, what was it, a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, one or the other? Hey, you there, politics. Pay attention. You saw that Lamborghini next to us. We passed him. He was going 5 miles an hour. We were going 10 miles an hour. $200,000 car, trying to enjoy. Prabhupada let us know, no enjoyment in this material world. Just temporary relief of all your suffering. That's all you get. To tell us over and over. Morning walks were so nice. Another morning walk, Mexico City. Botanical garden. So beautiful. Big ancient trees, 100, 200 years old, big trees. Prabhupada stopped, he pointed to a tree. It was dead. I had been with him 2 years now. Still don't answer questions on the morning walk. Let everybody else. He stopped, he pointed to the tree. It was dead. He said, why is it dead? Sannyasi, GBC, Prabhupada became diseased. Prabhupada shook his head, no, like he always did. So then the next person says, Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada became old and died. Prabhupada shakes his head. I'm standing next to him with the microphone and I'm thinking, what does he want to hear? I'm not thinking, why did it die? I was with him so long, I'm thinking, what does a pure devotee see? What does he hear? What does he know? What does he feel? And I'm thinking, what does he want to hear? It wasn't anything on my own I was thinking. And finally I looked at him, I said, Prabhupada, the spirit soul left. He smiled, said, yes. Okay? That's what can happen. We can read his books. Maybe we can understand those things. But what you can read for years and years like that, he can make you understand it just like that. Krishna consciousness. That's what he did before coming here. So anyway, my wife said, attentive. Talk about attention. Krishna consciousness. Conscious. What's conscious mean? To be conscious means to be attentive. You say, pay attention. Right? Somebody's say, pay attention. Sometimes people say, I can't afford to pay attention. I don't have that much to pay. I don't have that much to pay attention. When you were a servant, that's what you understood. That's what it took to be with the pure devotee. To be attentive every moment. Not sometimes. Every moment. The same in Australia. When one young brahmachari raised his hand at the end, Prabhupada, how long does it take to become Krishna conscious? Right? You know that? What did he say, Prabhupada?
1 second.
He said, immediately. Is that what the word he used? 1 moment. A moment. 1 moment, he said. 1 moment. But then that moment, and there's the next moment, and the next. Not that you become Krishna conscious and you're finished. Oh, now I can relax. No relaxing. Krishna conscious is not for lazy people. Every moment you have to be Krishna conscious. To be with them, attentive. In Caracas, I was Prabhupada 2 different times. I was his servant as a brahmachari for 16 months, and then I was away for 6 months. I left, got married, and then I'm back in New Vrindavan, the very place where I became his servant, Janmashtami. Now it's 2 years later. I'm back in New Vrindavan. I don't even know what to do there. I'm married. Wasn't in the farming anymore, milking cows, all the things I did before I became his servant. And he came there, the servant he had for 6 months, he was gone. Not easy to be with Prabhupada, pure devotee. He was gone. And the day before he left, Secretary Brahmananda said to me, you want to be Prabhupada's servant? And I looked. I said, where's he going? I was afraid to go to India. I had malaria 3 times. I had jaundice. I had colitis. I had dysentery. Never healthy. He said, we're going to India. I thought about it for about 5 seconds and I said, yes, I'll come. So again, I was with Prabhupada. The 6 months I was gone, I was in Caracas, Venezuela. So after being in India for some months and months, Prabhupada went to Caracas, Venezuela. And I knew everyone there. I had been there. I was the only Brahmin in the temple. I was giving classes in English. They'd be translated into Spanish. I was cooking in the kitchen because I was the only Brahmin in the temple. So now I'm back there. They knew I was Prabhupada's servant. And now I'm Prabhupada's servant again. So of course, little pride. Proud. And being Prabhupada's servant, sometimes you become proud. You know? So we arrived there, and it was chilly. We got to Mexico City, mile high. But we get to Caracas, it's not so chilly anymore. It was warm, Caracas, Venezuela. Prabhupada goes, sits on the Vyasa-san, and I'm standing by him, and I'm looking at my godbrothers and godsisters who I all knew. Look at me, I'm with Prabhupada now. You know, that kind of a look. And all of a sudden something hits me in the head. Prabhupada took his socks off, he rolled them into a ball and he threw them at me. Because I wasn't paying attention to my service. This is our business. Always be attentive in Krishna consciousness. Always have to be attentive. Not sometimes. That's what we say, right? Always in Krishna consciousness. And the more we can do that, the more progress you can make in Krishna consciousness. And you can learn that, especially when you're with the pure devotee. Because he's always like that. Every moment. Another reason I could stay with him, I could understand. He's pure devotee, I'm not. Far from it. But I had great respect for him. Krishna's pure devotee. And I like to do things for him. While we were there in New Vrindavan, Kirtanananda Swami, he was Prabhupada's one of the first disciples, 26 Second Avenue, very first sannyasi. Prabhupada taught him how to cook, called him Kitchenananda. He was known as Kitchenananda. So one day, Kirtanananda said, Prabhupada, will you show us how to make rasgullas? Expert sandesh. We made in New Vrindavan in those days, expert sandesh. But rasgullas, no one could perfect. So Prabhupada said, okay. He said, you prepare the cheese, the paneer. He said, when everything's ready, call me. So make the paneer, you have to knead it real nice, very smooth, no lumps. Got the sugar water boiling in the wok. So they called Prabhupada and showing him and rolling the balls and put it in the sugar, the boiling water, sugar water. And Prabhupada has a little ladle and they're bopping around. They turn over kind of sometimes on themselves, sometimes you help them. Back and forth, back and forth. They all puff up. The whole thing, rasgulla, they puff up to like twice the size. And they all puff up and Prabhupada's doing it. And we're watching, myself, Kirtanananda, Brahmananda Swami, Kuladri, we're all just watching Prabhupada. To see Prabhupada cooking was another kind of ecstasy. And he's bobbing them around. And then he said, okay, he said, you continue like this. He said, another 5-10 minutes. And he hands the ladle to Kirtanananda Swami. And Prabhupada walks out of the room. Kirtananda put the ladle in the wok, and they all shrunk. Just like that. Oh, I forgot one thing. While Prabhupada was doing it, he looked at Brahmananda. He said, you've already half eaten them. Just by looking. You can't try to enjoy. You will be turned red, so red. Can't enjoy what you're cooking for the Lord. For the Lord's pleasure, not for yours. But when he left, they all shrunk. Again, hard, just hard, sweet balls. Of course, we all ate them anyway in New Vrindavan. Anything was good. We didn't get much in New Vrindavan, so we ate them. But that's what happened. Mystic powers. Prabhupada had mystic powers. Could always, he knew me very, very well, no matter what I said. I always, in Calcutta, sweets from K.C. Das. Some of you know him here is old enough to know in Calcutta, K.C. Das, big sweet maker, sandesh, rasgullas, everything first class. So they would come into the temple. That also was like prasadam. And Prabhupada always had by his sitting place sweets to distribute. Anyone comes in, you distribute sweets. So one day I go in the room in the afternoon, and of course I like the sweets very much. So I came in, offered obeisances, and I said, Prabhupada, there's ants all over the sweets. So I'm thinking he was going to say, oh yeah, take them out of here, and then I'll just blow all the ants off and eat them. He looked at me, just smiled. He said, they don't eat very much. Then he told me, put a thali down, turn over a katuri, put some water in the thali. He said, then no more ants. Like that, no more ants. But he knew what I wanted to do. I was, what do you say, open book. I was an open book. He knew everything about me. And still he allowed me to be his servant. Anyway, there's so many things you could say, but not a lot of time. I was thinking, if you have any questions, comments, but everything's about being attentive. And you learn that very quickly when you travel with a pure devotee. Because he's always attentive. Always look straight ahead, head held high, never just looking around, distracted, no distraction, never tripped. Everything always just right. That's what it was like to be with. Yes.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. That was. Wish you could just stay here. Based on your travels, and you were speaking about attentiveness, is there something that you have experienced in your travels recently while you're going to different communities that sticks out for you, that you feel this is something that Prabhupada would want changed? If there's one thing that sticks out.
Boy, what a question.
He asked,
You're asking my opinion. So many things. First of all, he'd tell you to shave your beard. You asked for it. I'll tell you that. That would be the first thing. He didn't like beards. Didn't like them. He shaved his face every day, every other day. Even at Kumbh Mela in 77, in the cold, where there was no running water, no anything, he shaved before he spoke. I wouldn't dream of getting up here on a seat without that. Kirtan, he liked melodious kirtan, not screaming loud kirtans. Every time he heard loud kirtan, screaming, he would say Rakshasa kirtan. And he would say it once, he would say it twice, he would say it 3 times, and then he wouldn't say it anymore. See, there's only, like we say, Harinama, Harinama, Harinama eva kevalam, Kalo and Ashteva, Ashteva, Ashteva. So many things with me happened 3 times, and 3 times it stopped. So devotees said, well, Prabhupada sat on the Vyasasana, and devotees did this, and devotees did that. And I'll say, that doesn't mean he liked it. It means he got tired of telling you, don't do like this, do like this. See, that's what I saw with Prabhupada. He would want to see everyone out on Harinam every day. That's how I became a devotee. Seeing devotees in the park. For me, it was a park. Others, it was in the streets. See, you, Prabhupada, knew. He said, Indians are Krishna conscious. You don't even have to preach to them. Just put the deities on the altar, they'll all come. It's automatic. But if you want the local people, you have to go out to them. You have to preach to them. You got to bang them over the head. You got to chant. You got to give them prasadam. You got to give them books. What did Prabhupada say? If he opens the book and reads one sloka, he said one word, he said they'll have eternal benefit and come back human next life. Not an easy thing. No one here is, they're not coming back as humans in the next life, not killing, constantly killing. I don't know how many millions they say cows are killed every hour just to satisfy the tongue. So there's so many things you would like. In our travels, we were in Australia, so many nice devotees. Grahasta families have their altars in their home, You know, wife, Mataji cooking all day, offering to the deities. They were very generous. Husbands working, giving to the temple. Helped me out a little bit as we were traveling around. Not easy doing this, you know. But that's what he wanted to see. He wanted to... Back in 73, what did he say? Time to boil the milk. We don't need so many watered down devotees. We need strong preacher devotees because they can make everyone Krishna conscious. But if we ourselves, we don't know Krishna, what can you give? What can you give to someone else? They called us bright-faced back in the U.S. in those days. They thought we were crazy. Dhoti, kurta, flip-flops, different color socks, you know, completely transcendental. But they say we were bright. They could see these people are happy out there on Harinam in the heat, in the cold, in the rain. So that's preaching. That's what he would want. He would want to see more preaching. Not just, you know, kumbaya? You know the word kumbaya? Not just 2,000 people in the temple room. Hare Krishna. What about everybody else? You're a devotee. Get out there. Make more. Not that we all just sit in the room. Try to enjoy. No, serve. That's what Prabhupada told me when I told him I didn't feel anything. He said, do you like your service? I said, yes, Prabhupada. He said, service is love. That's how you show you want to develop your love every moment for Krishna, by service. And in this ISKCON society, preaching is the main service. And that doesn't mean just going everything preaching. You dress the deity nicely, preaching. Or cooking nicely for Krishna, everyone enjoys the remedy. It's all preaching. But somehow or other, we have to keep busy for Krishna. And he liked us to represent very nicely. Even he had no objection to Western clothing. He said, but gentlemanly, not hippie. He didn't like hippie-like. Lord Chaitanya didn't like hippie-like. You can't say, well, that was 50 years ago. No, it was 500 years ago. Right? Lord Chaitanya said, shave that face. Right? Not hippie. Hippie seeds, Prabhupada called them. And we think we look very handsome with our hair. Prabhupada talked about the Muslims. The longer the beard, the more handsome they think they are. The longer the hair. In Vrindavan, oh, that's all you see, long hair and beards. You can have thousands of followers. Just grow your hair out, grow a beard, slap some red paint on your forehead, you'll make many, many followers. Prabhupada wanted serious people. Serious people. It's all fine. What you do is fine. Did you ask me? Did you ask me?
No, I appreciate you.
Vrindavan, I'm in the deity department. I'm on the altar. Deity council chairman. Abhishek, one devotee came in. He had a beard. I said, get out of here. He came back 20 minutes later, he shaved. Just so he could be on the altar. See, that's how we have to think. If that's what it takes, I'll do it. If that's, it's not a big deal. I hate shaving. Hate it. But I'll do it after a few days. Sometimes in Vrindavan you can be 4 or 5 days, 6 days. It's Vrindavan, you know. Just doing it's difficult there. But he'd be very happy to see everyone chanting. That's the thing. Somehow or other chanting. He said, even if it's done for entertainment, there's benefit. But his disciples, we can't think like that. That's the hard and fast rule part. Okay? That's fine to bring people. But then we want them to bring them up, not stay. That's what Prabhupada did, right? He saw that in 26 Second Avenue. He hand wrote the rules and regulations. Rise early, go to Mangal Artik, minimize association with non-devotees. It's not easy, all these things. Right away, he gave rules and regulations. Hard and fast rules. Huh? You're doing wonderful service here at this temple. Your duty is to set an example. That's your job. That's my job. I can't sit here. I'm not going to wear pants and shirt. Have longish hair. No, I can't. Shave. I travel with buzzers so I can shave my head regularly. Because I know that pleases him. And you want to make advancement? Please Prabhupada. Because right up until now and moving forward, he's the source of everything in ISKCON. Whatever happens, good, you have to think it's by his desire. Yeah. Yes?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
What, in the 21st century, what would you advise is the best way to connect with Srila Prabhupada on a personal level?
What did he say? He's always with his spiritual master. 21st century, 20th century, 30th century, it's always the same, guru and disciple. You follow their instructions. And by following your instructions, he's with you. And the more you follow, the more you'll feel his presence. It is, everything's personal. And everyone, you're all personally serving Srila Prabhupada. You might not think it. You might not realize it. You think, well, I'm just serving the temple president, or I'm just doing... No! If you're doing anything, you're serving Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, forever. No more founder Acharyas in ISKCON. He's the founder Acharya, and he always will be. And if you're doing service, you are serving him personally. Not just one person in ISKCON, his personal servant. Everyone was personally serving. And everyone continues. That's how you have to see it. And the more you see it like that, gradually you understand that that's the fact. You can talk to Prabhupada. My wife's second generation, she was born a devotee. She just went on the altar. She talked to Prabhupada today. We lost something in our travels. You travel, you lose things. We've been in already over a dozen different places, 4 different countries. You pack your bags, unpack, pack your bags, unpack. Those things get lost sometimes. She went to Prabhupada, she told him. She went there to Radha Gokulananda, said, hey, find that for me. That's what you do. You want to understand them as persons. You talk to them as persons. Not think, I offer my obeisances, but you're not thinking. I said, I went into Prabhupada's room 30, 40, 50 times a day. Every time I went in, I offered obeisances. Every time I left, if I was there for more than 10 seconds, I offered obeisances. He never said, you've done it enough today. You can take the rest of the day off from offering obeisances. He never said that. Because every time you do it, you get a little bit closer. And every time you ignore it, you get a little further away. One morning walking Juhu, came down the stairs, 20 devotees. Everyone offered obeisances, except for one devotee. He stood there very reverently with his hands folded. And Prabhupada started walking. On his walk, he looked at me. He said, that's the beginning of his fall down. Imagine. The beginning of his fall down. Lack of respect. How many times we walk in and out of the temple room, we think, I just did it 5 minutes ago. Just brass deities on the altar. We don't think that's Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda right there in front of you. And until you start to think like that, you're never going to understand it is Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda right there. It is Srila Prabhupada sitting on the Vyasa-san. It's not just some molded piece of material. It's Prabhupada. Said he's there in his picture. My wife there, She sees anything, something from Govinda's restaurant lying on the floor, she gets upset. She picks it up. Everything. See, that's a devotee. That's how a devotee thinks. There's no shortcuts. But the more you do like that, the more you become more Krishna conscious. And you'll understand person. You're serving a person, you're a person, you're serving a person. Krishna is the supreme person. One on this half of the room. Yes. Yes, you.
Remember you said about when you were giving Prabhupada his prasadam plate, and someone asked you, have you offered it first? And you said, I'm giving it to Prabhupada, I've offered it. So
Yes.
is there a reason we don't offer it? Like if we're giving our Guru prasadam, why don't we offer it to Krishna first?
Why do we?
Why don't we offer it to
To
Krishna
Krishna?
first?
Because you have no.
Oh, because you do it through the Guru.
Yeah, everything through the Guru.
Yeah.
Through the transparent, right? That's what we say, transparent, be immediate. Back then in the 70s, we heard these terms all the time. Do the needful, transparent, be immediate, time, place, and circumstance. These things were drilled into our head. You never forget. And transparent means you offer it to your Guru. Transparent means he doesn't take it for himself. He offers it to his Guru. And he offers it to his Guru. And in that way it goes through the whole disciplic succession. And it also comes down in the same way. What Krishna says, that's why it's called disciplic succession. From disciple follows discipline. So Krishna speaks, he gives it to Lord Brahma. He gives it to his disciple. He gives it to his. You don't change anything. As soon as you change, potency's finished. That's why Prabhupada would even say there's gaps. But when that one disciple, like Prabhupada, we're so fortunate, is we can understand. Prabhupada said when he spoke, it was Krishna speaking. When he did his translation work, he said it was Krishna speaking through him. So how fortunate are we that Prabhupada's books, they're coming from Krishna through the disciplic succession. Prabhupada always credited his spiritual master. He never said, I've done this, I spread Krishna consciousness. He always said, Lord Chaitanya. In Caracas, he told them, Lord Chaitanya, Lord Nityananda, they've traveled very far to be with you. That's what he said. See? He didn't say, I've traveled thousands and thousands of miles to be with you. He said, Lord Chaitanya traveled very far. So that's the devotee doesn't take credit for anything. He always gives credit. Prabhupada gave credit to his disciples. Right? My spiritual master, he sent you to fulfill his desire. He sent you. That's what he said. His spiritual master sent you to spread this Krishna consciousness movement. Sometimes he would say, you're all associates of Lord Chaitanya. And we are. We are all associates. That's what we want to be. But then be an associate of Lord Chaitanya. Understand Lord Chaitanya's teachings. Everything's there. Everything's there in his books. But like I say, with Prabhupada, he was right there. So literally when I offered, I gave it to him. He went in the kitchen in LA once in New Dwarka. We walked in and Mataji's, at that time, brahmacharinis. We had brahmacharis and brahmacharinis. So they were in the kitchen there. And there was a colander filled with big red strawberries. California had nice fruit back then, you know. And Prabhupada said, whoa, what is this? And the girl said, they're strawberries, Prabhupada. And he took one and he started to put it to his mouth in Krishna's kitchen. And the girl said, oh, Prabhupada, that's boga. He said, oh, popped it in his mouth. All we do is offer to him. He takes boga and turns it into prasadam. Because everything he does is for Krishna. I said on the airplanes, so much fun on the airplanes. When Prabhupada would have something on his table, on the plate prasadam, we might have it. So you just wait for him. He never did anything first. As soon as he takes something, puts it in his mouth, then we were like, just like little shadows. Because now it's prasadam. So as soon as he did it, we would do it. He made it so easy in his presence. And it's after 9 o'clock. One more question here. Yes? Hare Krishna.
Thank you for your amazing class. I have a question basically. What did Prabhupada always ask?
What did he always?
What did Prabhupada always ask for when he called you? Like, what was one thing that he always asked?
What did he always ask for you when he called you?
Well, generally he would tell me to go get his secretary, go get this person, go get that person. I was the responder. So he would say, go get Brahmananda, go get Kuranda, go get this person, go get that person. Because that was sometimes he would just say things to me. He could do that if he just wanted to say something and I was the person that was right there. One time I went into his room and he said, we're not so advanced that we think I want to come back life after life and serve. He said, we have to have the desire to go back home, back to Godhead. So we're not so advanced, which meant you're not so advanced. He wouldn't say that. He'd say, we're not so advanced. That's the humility of pure devotee. And then that was it, for the obeisances and left. Another day I walked in, rang the bell, I walked in and he said, ultimately you have to fly your own airplane. That's there in his books, he says that. But that's the position. So we have to become very strong in Krishna consciousness. And that's why at this time you have to take association from advanced devotees, chant, follow the principles, do something. I said traveling. We changed time zones every week. Sometimes it was 10 hours from Brisbane, Australia to Atlanta, Georgia, 10 hours. And the next morning I had to do a program after flying for 25 hours. Not easy. But, that's what we had to do. Sometimes service you do, coming here tonight. Now it's after 9 o'clock, by the time we get home, everything's going to be 11 o'clock at night. And you got to be up early in the morning. Mangalarti, greet the deities. This is, Prabhupada did it. He would say the more service you do, the more energy you get. I'm still trying to figure that out, how that works. So I know I'm not on that platform he was on. He said, I hate sleep. He told me one day after his lunch. He took a nap for a half hour, an hour, because he slept 2-3 hours at night. Mayapuri. He sat on the bed, he said, I hate sleep, just a waste of time. That's what a devotee thinks. He said, I hate it, just wasting my time. And then he laid down and put the covers over his head. It was so sweet. But you think like that. Last night I couldn't sleep. Because in the daytime you're tired, and at nighttime it's the morning where you just came from. So you're supposed to be, your body's telling you it's time to be up. It was so difficult. I couldn't sleep. But the chanting of Hare Krishna mantra kept going in my head. This melody, that melody, this melody, just went on and on and on. And I thought, somehow or other. All right, I think we need to stop here. Everyone take prasadam. You can follow my schedule. We'll give this schedule. You can hear the classes on whatever ISKCON Bhaktivedanta Man or ISKCON Solo or whatever they're doing, or you can take a trip to the manor on those days. I took a trip here to see you. You can come take a trip. Only an hour away, that's what Prabhu said. I don't know whose time schedule that was on, an hour. He said about an hour. Yes. That's what Lord Brahma said. That's what Prabhupada said. Right? And they said, soon there'll be World War III. That was 50 years ago. But we're still waiting. Looks like it's getting closer and closer, but people thought it was going to happen next week when he said it, you know, soon. We say Kalki's coming soon, right? Another 400,000 years or so. That's soon. Anyway, it's been a wonderful pleasure. I'm happy to have been able to come here. I hope somehow or other you know a little bit more about Srila Prabhupada and how much he loves all of you and wants to see you all go back home, back to Godhead at the end of this very life. Not difficult. He said determination is difficult. But he said the material world's impossible. That's what we see in just driving. Impossible living in this place. Impossible. So just keep at it. No matter how much struggle is there, you never give up. That I learned from Prabhupada too. Never give up. Anyway, Prabhu, he has this book in his hand. What is the difficulty? It's a book I wrote, came out back in 2006, 20 years ago. And it has many of these stories you heard and many, many more, over 100 of them. And I had them shipped from Vrindavan by air. So if anyone would like one, please take one. And if you can, make a donation of 20 pounds if you can. If you can't afford that, then whatever you could afford. And I'll sign it for you. Other than that, do you have anything else to say, Prabhu?
Yeah, actually, this was, first of all, thank you so much, Prabhu. It was really nice. We'll all have to go out and buy razors.